Patient, and I'd like to invite Kerry Laundon, is it, from Straw Free Christchurch to come forward. Thank you, Kerry.
My presentation is just coming up for you. Excellent. Okay, thank you first of all for inviting me to join you today. It's really nice to be here to talk about Straw Free Christchurch. Thanks also to Councillor Keown and Councillor Swiggs for showing interest in the work that we're doing. First of all, I just want to take a brief moment to talk about the scale of the problem. Plastic straws and other disposable plastic items are entering landfill at a scary rate around the world, and 8 million tonnes of plastic waste enters the world's oceans every year. That's actually more plastic than fish by 2050, according to scientific projections. Plastic straws are one of the top 5 plastic items that are found in beach cleanups, and over 500 million straws in the US alone are used per day, which is billions per year. So plastic is just not great for the planet, for the world, for the ocean. You've maybe seen this turtle image where a plastic straw is removed from its nostril, and very traumatising to watch, and that's actually become quite a campaign feature for a lot of straw-free groups around the world. In Christchurch, what we started to do was to survey local bars and restaurants to find out... Thank you very much. What the current situation is with how straws are being used in local businesses, and we found that a lot of businesses are already straw-free, plastic straw-free, sorry, so they're using paper, steel and biodegradable alternatives. And there's also a lot of interest in switching to an alternative to single-use plastic straws. What I think local businesses seem to want is more guidance and support from council, and feel it's led by local government, and also they have concerns around cost and customer perception, maybe that people expect to have a straw in their drink, but that can be remedied with using alternatives. So to drive additional buy-in from businesses, continued local government support would be welcome, and also a community-backed campaign to show customer support would really encourage businesses to follow suit and ditch the plastic straw. So what about the rest of New Zealand and the world? You may have read that Wellington Council have just announced measures to reduce straw use, including offering free trials of plastic straws to local bars in the centre. There are local campaigns, Plastic Straw Free Rangiora doing some really great work, and there's a Plastic Bag Free Christchurch group operating on Facebook. There's global campaigns, The Lonely Whale, Strawless Ocean, Plastic Pollution Coalition. Seattle will be the first straw-free city in the world by next July, which is really amazing. And it's become a really timely global issue and a localised issue because of the influence we can have locally. Blue Planet 2 has just highlighted some really alarming problems of ocean plastic and how it affects marine wildlife, and the UN has just declared ocean plastic to be a planetary crisis. Next steps for Christchurch and how Christchurch can help. It would be really great if you could lead by example, phase out single-use plastic straws at council locations and events. I know that you're already doing some really great work with compostable packaging at events, so I imagine this fits very well with your longer-term vision. Reach out to local businesses to ensure they have the support and the resources that they need to minimise plastic straw use, and encourage local businesses to go completely straw-free, which is perhaps slightly more of a longer-term goal. A longer-term beyond that point is to look at becoming a disposable plastic-free city. This is something that can be done, as Seattle has shown, and why not us? And to influence, by example, other communities in New Zealand to take action, and this reflects where we stand as a nation committed to preserving the natural world. I've provided some additional information on my presentation, which I won't go through now, but if you want to look at that, then they link through to local groups and websites around the world, and also some articles that are local and globally relevant to this cause, as well as our contact details. So if you would like to get in touch or ask me any questions, and obviously I'll take questions now if anyone has any, then I'd love to hear from you. Thank you. Any questions?
Thank you very much. We've just got a very short extra time. I should say Seattle's our sister city, so maybe it's an opportunity for us to think about following suit. Got 34 seconds to go. So anyone? Oh, Aaron.
I'd like to ask you, Madam Mayor, and CE Carleen, if we could consider becoming plastic-free at all our venues. We're smoke-free in our parks, and it's just a sign, it's a start that just says that we're plastic-free, and we encourage people not to use plastic in those places. But certainly on all the premises we have, and we've got some large catering ones, I own a premise myself, and it was pretty easy to switch to paper straws. I just bought a box of paper straws and stopped using plastic ones. So it was easier than giving up smoking or cocaine, and it's just plastic. And neither of the two evils I mentioned ruin the ocean either. Well, smoking does a little because the cigarette butts end up there, but plastic is a shocker, so we don't need it.
Yeah. Okay, well, or perhaps you'd like to move that we refer this issue to the Innovation and Sustainability Committee and ask them to report back to Council with some recommendations?
Absolutely.
And seconded by Dion Swiggs. I'll put that motion. All those in favour say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. That was carried. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
great
you.
stuff. Dougal Holmes has a presentation on New Brighton Foreshore development. Oh, and Eric Banks as well, is it? Is that right?
Hi.
Hi. Thank you.
Hey, as adjacent residents would like to make some comments about the New Brighton Foreshore.
Sorry, look, the sound system, something's wrong with it today. It is so low that I can't hear.
Okay.
They tell me it's as loud as it can go.
Make some comments about the New Brighton Foreshore proposal. I'll try and be as quick as possible, but it's a wee bit to get through. Why isn't that working? Next slide. Okay. Right, so as you're probably familiar with the proposal, the pools on the right, the playground on the right hand side, followed by the proposal for hot pools, the possible relocation of the surf club in the orange area in the middle, and then the revamped car parking space using part of the existing car park and a new area where the current surf lifesaving club is. This is an aerial shot of the area. Superimposed on that is what roughly it would look like in general terms, with the pools in the blue, the surf club in yellow, and the mauve area as the car park. The residents, there's 3 groups of residents here today, their homes are circled there. Just another view looking in from the sea. Views, currently this is a general view of the area, and there's just a couple of quick shots here of views. All 3 houses share similar views of the surf. It's a slightly more wide-angle view. If the proposal went ahead, it would basically go from that to that with surf club on the right, and it would mean that the car park would have to be elevated by about 1¼ metres to match the existing level of the surf club area, so that was a contiguous car park. Potentially there could be further commercial development in the future, according to Rob Hall. This is just another illustration of the current views that we all have, quite a broad view from the pier around further to the north. What our issues are is that we believe that the developments for Brighton, including the pools excuse me, and the playground, are a good thing, and we believe loss of loss of views is, we're okay with losing some of our views for the greater good of New Brighton, but we believe that in that scenario that I've just illustrated, if we were to lose all of our views, it's a bit unreasonable, given that we're all interested in the surf in various ways. Our kids surf, they like to look at the view, there'll be a loss of amenity value. All of those things associated with having a sea view. Car parking, what this proposal will do is to remove parking where the yellow and the blue areas are and replace that with the area where the surf club is on the left hand side. Excuse me, so there's a net reduction in capacity, but at the same time there would be a increase in demand created by the new facilities, and obviously that's going to flow down into traffic issues. The idea is that the greater car parking in the greater New Brighton area will cope, but in reality we all know that people like to park close to the facility that they're visiting, so it's not a good recipe, we don't believe. There are very few places where people can park and look at the sea, particularly of concern to elderly or infirm people. This is going to reduce that capacity. It's also going to reduce the capacity for events. Events are very popular to hold on the car park area there. This is a shot taken last weekend just to show a typical summer's visitation. The car park's completely full, the street parking is already full. So on top of that, if you have increased demand due to new facilities, there are going to be issues. Yep. Okay, so I'll now hand over to Dougal to talk about the surf club issues as we see them.
Cheers, thanks very much. I'll walk through this fairly quickly. I realise we're a bit short of time. I raised the concerns of some of the local groups who frequent the water area around the surf club and relation to the relocation of the Surf Lifesaving Club. There's 4 points I'd like to make. There's a lack of consultation with residents and commercial entities around the use of moving the club. There was an offer made by Christchurch City Council to New Brighton Surf Club to help with their relocation. The ability of New Brighton Surf Lifesaving Club to actually patrol this area effectively, and the water safety risks involved with building a public area so close to a water hazard, one of the biggest water hazards in Christchurch. Lack of consultation between the group up there. The New Brighton board riders put $165,000 to the rebuild of the new pier. They were made the patrons of the pier at the time. These other groups that use that water area, no one was consulted about the moving of the Surf Lifesaving Club. Pier and Foreshore Society raised with the locals, raised half with the New Brighton Longboarders raised half of the money for the rebuild of the new pier, which is now the Christchurch icon, but alas, there's still been no consultation with those groups. The New Brighton Surf Club were told there would be $1 million from the council to assist them to relocate to the hot water pools and beachside playground. This has led to a whole lot of controversy and confusion within local groups and the surf club itself, and with no sort of real resolution from that. I question the ability to, having come from a surf lifesaving background myself, I question the ability for New Brighton Surf Club to patrol that area if they were to move into that high hazard area. Their vision is to prevent drowning and injury at New Brighton Beach, and to move a surf club closer to that risk is just sort of looking for disaster, basically. I've got some pictures here of the pier. You can't really see terribly well with those lights, but there's a function of rips that run either side of the pier in towards the pier. If I had a pointer, no, I can't point them out, but there's a series of rips, one running right beside the by the pier. Oh no, I won't do that. Beside the pier itself, and then there's, if you look to the bottom, to the left-hand side of the pier, there's another rip and then another rip. Another aerial view there, if you look at the surf club, can you point the surf club out from the surf club down, which is down there in the bottom left-hand corner. The wave formation in front of the club is the safest place to swim at the moment. If you look up towards the top of the picture, and there's turbulent water, currents, and that can lead to all kinds of problems. The risks itself, the pier, the rips on either side, overcrowded area. This area has traditionally been a surfing area. As I said before, none of the surfing bodies have been consulted to put the public, surf club, a whole lot of people in that area. There's just going to be a disaster for injury. Thanks very much.
And just very briefly, we believe the consultation has been very limited. The plans are very general. What we'd like to see is a fuller consultation process so that when the next stage of the design, the developed design if you like, is produced, that public are consulted on that so that public can get a better idea of the overall impact. We already had the construction of the playground started before consultation on the pools and the surrounds. So we'd like to see a public process, consultation process on the developed design, ideally with hearings. And also we'd like to ensure that it's made very clear to the surf club and publicly that the financial assistance to the club is not contingent on them moving.
Well, look, thank you. I've let you go substantially over time. I felt that this was a presentation that wasn't appropriate for a 5-minute, that the last one was a 5-minute presentation. Can I just encourage you to perhaps go to present to the community board, because anything that comes to council with a recommendation is going to come through them anyway. I don't recall the $1 million ever being contingent on moving, so but we'll check that out and let you know. And there will be obviously processes that will be gone through, but DCL are due to report to the council next week. They've reported to finance and performance yesterday, and we'll certainly raise it with them in terms of the intention with regard to consultation, but I don't think that they want to do anything other than engage with the community over the intentions there. Surf Lifesaving Club, as I understood, wasn't keen on moving, so I just think that there's a lot more to be done with, and this wasn't a very good place to be raising it. So thanks very much for the time that you've put into the presentation. We'll follow up on some of those issues and come back to you, but I really do recommend that you go through the community board.
Right, thank you.
Thank you. Right, the next one is Bruce King.
Right, good morning. My name is Bruce King. I live in the Bromley in the wind shadow of the Christchurch City Council owned composting plant, which is operated under contract by Living Earth, a division of Waste Management New Zealand Limited, which is owned by Beijing Capital, China. I'm here to talk about the community liaison group meetings with regard to the operation of this plant. Who in the CCC has the right to ban community members from community group meetings? In a letter I received from John Mackey of the CCC, I was banned from the community meeting because he stated I did not follow the terms of reference for the meetings. In particular, that I did not focus on the previous quarter reporting period or the minutes of the previous meeting. However, the statement I made was related to the minutes and was read out in general business section of the meeting and with prior approval of the chair. The statement I read out relates to an incident that occurred at the beginning of the November 2016 Community Liaison Group meeting. I stand by this statement as a true observation of what happened at the start and following the November meeting. I have attended most of the CLG meetings from the beginning, and the same concerns about the plant operations at the start which are the offensive odours and dust from the property, still exist almost 9 years later, and it has now been 48 days of offensive odour. The composting plant continually breaks its consent of operation with regard to the section that states no offensive odour should be detected over the property boundary. I received a letter of reprimand from John Mackey in April 2017 in which he stated, "I consider this as an end to the matters raised." 6 months later, and with no CLG meetings organised as required by the consent, I've now received a second letter banning me from future meeting. The letter also states, quote, "Any requests sent directly to our staff or the contractor staff on the issue of the operation of the Living Earth facility or associated community group meetings will not be responded to. This amounts to deprivation of my civil rights to have any right of reply to the false allegations made in Mr. Mackey's October letter. By operating the Living Earth plant on its present site and in its current form, the CCC is also infringing on my human rights to be able to enjoy any outdoor living on my property and in adjacent recreational areas. Health and safety concerns are also an issue with the dust emissions from the site regarding respiratory problems." Thank you.
Thank you. I'm not sure whether this is an appropriate forum to have questions. You've made your presentation. I think we should just take that on board and respond to you in writing.
Well, I would like to discuss the letters that have been sent to me in regards...
I'm sorry, but I don't have personal knowledge of it.
I know.
And I think discussing what you've just stated in respect to named staff members, I don't think having a discussion in the open forum public participation section of the council is appropriate, but I'm very willing to facilitate a response.
Thank you. Well, his letter gave me no other place. I couldn't go and correspond with anyone in the council because I had no right to, according to the letter.
Okay. Well, I will personally undertake to respond to you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Right, the next is Uncle Benita, Jessie, Rachel and JB, who would like to talk to the council about homelessness.
Good morning to the members. My name's Rachel and this is my daughter with the mother and the daughter that are homeless. We lost our home because we were taking in the homeless that were sick. And I was under Richmond Fellowship, so we lost our home. We've been on the street for 6 weeks. We've been asked to talk about the woman's side of it. The woman's side of it is we need a shower. The woman needs showers. We've tried to go to the city mission. My daughter's been declined 3 times. I don't know why. And I've been declined once to go to the city mission, so it's hard. For women out there, it's unsafe for us. But when you have the old school, like Uncle, my cousin Tippy, that's my cousin, where they look after us, but they also sick, they're sick also. Most of us have mental health issues. We take medication, some of us can't get to the chemist, some of us don't even have benefits to go and buy the medication. Most of us don't have benefits. So you see us with the signs, homeless or struggling. The homeless ones are us. We're sleeping on Hereford. The struggling ones are the ones that have got a job, but they come out because they've got no money for food. So we help them out. And my daughter's going to talk about the youth.
Kia ora, my name's Bonita Himmelport. I'm speaking on behalf of the youth. I got asked what it's like being homeless. It actually quite sucks being homeless. It's not cool, not being able to have a shower when I can or just not having a bed to go to. I also got asked what can be done will help us get in a home that we can afford and help us just whatever, just help us, please, because it actually sucks being on the street, you know, it's hard, and yeah, it's not cool. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm John Malcolm Wallace. I'm JB Wallace. I've been homeless for about six and a half years here in Christchurch. I lost my house, my job and everything in the earthquake. Through a drug test, I lost my job. Lost stability, lost my job. I've been homeless on and off. I've been getting work on and off. The real reason why I'm here today is we need help. We need a lot of help. We got people in our midst that are educated, skilled, and everything. All they need is a second chance, you know, and help educated. All we're looking for is a hope, a chance to get ahead in life. Just to be like you fellas, everyone with a house, a job, a car, a wife, kids. We all looking forward to raising funds to open up a job for us people to get educated, to get work skilled, to become a parent, to become a man, become a woman. There's a lot of things that is going on here in Christchurch. Homeless is only one of the things. Struggling is another one, and work is another thing here in Christchurch. I've gone out of town to get work, found work, got work, but it didn't last long because I didn't have the skill. I come back to Christchurch to look for the skill, but I can't get the skill because I've got a criminal record. The criminal record is not really that bad. You know, all I'm asking for is a second chance to get that job, to get that skill, to get a life, to get a home for my children, for my family. And we really need help. We are the people that are out on the street. We are the people that see what's going on. And we are the people that are trying to keep it safe for everybody. You know, not just us, 4, 5, 6, 7 of us. There's something like 3,500 people here in Christchurch that are homeless.
Yeah.
There's not 200, there's 3,500. Half of them have got jobs, half of them have got kids, half of them are living in cars, half of them are living in caravans. And they're still working, they're still struggling. And the homeless ones are the ones that are sleeping in cubby holes. You know, and we are true homeless. Why are we homeless? Because we can't afford a home. We can't afford a home on the benefit. And we can't afford a home on the job because we get the 90-day done on us after we pay our rent for the 3 months, and we get a 90-day done on us, and then we got to wait 2 weeks before we get paid again. And then we got to pay that 2 weeks in arrears. We go straight into arrears, and it bills us, and we're finding it hard to pay it. All we need is the skill to get that job, to pay that bill, and so that we don't have to get that bill. That's all we need, is a lot of hope and a lot of help. We don't want people to come up to us and give us money. We don't want people to come up to us and give us food. We can do that ourselves. If we get the education and get the skill to do that, we can do that ourselves. We can go out and help the people. We have been helping the people our way, you know, and it's to us, it's like we are trying to get ahead in life. We are trying, but we're getting knocked down. Every time we get ahead, we're getting knocked down because we are homeless. We're only 1% of 100%. You know, and it's to us, it's, you know, to us it's like we don't want to be here. We don't even want to be on the street. We want to be at home. We want to be at work. We want to be with our families. We want to be with everyone. We want to be part of a community. You know, we all want to be a part of a community, but we can't be a part of a community because we're getting knocked down. And the only way we're going to get knocked down is because the people are telling us that we are nothing. You know, we're only nothing because we're homeless. We became homeless because we couldn't afford it. And the earthquake, you know, we come a long way from the earthquake.
Yeah.
You know, I was here on both earthquakes, and I'm still here, but I haven't got a home.
Yeah. Look,
I've got a job.
Yeah. Look, there isn't a single person around this table that doesn't, you know, feel for your situation. Councillor Buck has a very close association with the Housing Trust, and she is going to go with you now to see if we can solve one part of the problem. Because for me and the whole council, we're in a process at the moment. We've got an application in with other agencies, because this is not a city problem on its own. No. It's not a MSD problem on its own. It's not a employment problem on its own. But everything starts with the home. Yes. And if we can get people into homes, that's why the policy is called Housing First, then you can start to look at all of the other issues. Yeah. So is that okay if you go with Councillor Vicky Buck now? She'll start that process. I'm hoping that it will be a successful outcome, but nobody can make promises when they don't know whether they can be kept. But, you know, there isn't a person around this table that doesn't want to offer you our support and hope that we can assist in some way to get you on that journey, home first, and then the other issues that you've talked about.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Kia ora. Thank you.
Thank you.
Could I invite Digby Prosser of the Lions Club International and the team to come forward. They're going to be speaking regarding item 12, acceptance of gifted building, and we will move straight on to the item acceptance of gifted building after we've heard from Lions Club International. And look, thank you for being here, and thank you for the reason why you're here, and thank you for what you continue to do for our city, and have really stepped up to deliver beyond what you normally deliver since the earthquakes, and it's greatly appreciated. So over to you, Digby.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and thank you to the Council for having the opportunity to speak, which comes as a little bit of a surprise, but it represents the outcomes of lots of speaking in different forums over a period of time. On my left is our District Governor from Lions for this district, which extends as far as to Nelson, across to the West Coast, and which Christchurch is a constituent part. And I'd like to introduce Lion Peter Gamble, who wants to say one or two words.
Thank you very much, Digby. Mayor Leanne and councillors, I'm very pleased to be here this morning. I'd just like to make a couple of comments. The commitment and partnerships that grew out of our devastating earthquakes meant that a model of engagement evolved that has attracted interest in many areas. One in particular is my organisation's humanitarian arm called Lions Club International Foundation. As Lions, we're represented in over 210 countries around the world. When a disaster happens, the foundation is there with advice, resources and funds almost immediately. The partnership that evolved between the Christchurch City Council and local Lions has been looked at by this organisation very closely and is now used as a template in other countries and other disasters. Locally, this only came about because of the willingness of the council and local Lions to work together in a time of great need. I thank you for your trust in us, and perhaps this has set the framework for more work we can do together in the future. The people of Christchurch benefited from this, so let's do it again, hopefully in different circumstances. Thank you.
Thank you.
I want to just add one or two words to what Lion Peter has shared with you. This project is the culmination of several projects. It is the legacy, in a sense, of the very first partnership program we set up in the early phases post-earthquake, when we purchased a building and made it available to the council to occupy the site in St Albans on Colombo Street. And the time has come, because that facility was always transitional, to move it somewhere else. And thanks to the goodwill of council and council staff, we have been able to work together with the community board and the Shirley Community Trust to establish a need and identify ways in which that need can be met by relocating a building from St Albans to McFarlane Park. And you will no doubt have read all the briefing papers, so I won't go into any of the details, except to say this has been a particularly fruitful and harmonious relationship with council staff, and we have met several times under the chairmanship of a council staff member, but with the attendance of members of the Community Trust. And there has been a great deal of interaction between the two groups, and I want to acknowledge their participation, and I believe that Graham will speak just briefly after I have finished. In this particular case, we are gifting the building which we purchased 4 or 5 years ago. In addition, we are making a grant to help the relocation, and we have been able to take advantage of a partnership with the original transport company that located the building for us in the first place, and give us an advantage as a Lions organisation to do that. Why do we choose to do these things? Well, one of the primary objects of Lions is to actually try and improve opportunities in the community and create self-sufficiency in those groups that work within the community. And we believe by allowing this building to be repositioned, it would allow another community group to get on with the business of building their community. And that for us is the primary outcome. We will have a signpost that says we were there once, but we're not going to try and do the community's job for them, but we want them to have the facility in which to do it. And we believe that McFarlane Park presents a huge opportunity in an area which has an infrastructure, but will need this injection which will provide more enthusiasm and positivity for the whole of their community. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And just on that note, could I invite Graham Mitchell, Chair of the Shirley Community Trust, just to come forward for a couple of minutes, and then I'll swap you out for the Chair of the Community Board.
Good morning, my name's Graham Mitchell. I'm the Chairman of the Shirley Community Trust since our inception 18 years ago. From that time, 18 years ago, the Trust today in the state housing area of Shirley, in this last year, 186 volunteers from this little community gave over 20,000 hours of their time to engage 27,000 attendances into their projects and special events just in this community. McFarlane Park in itself is named after one of the mayors of Christchurch, and it's a fitting place that this centre is going to be placed on this, I would say, historic piece of special land. What has been important to us is the little Shirley Community Trust building up there next to the Kids First building was a disused plunket rooms, and that's all we've used, had available to us for the last 15 years. And for all the other community buildings in the area disappeared from the earthquakes. We're so indebted to the Lions Club's International Foundation for their accepting us as a place that they would like to gift this building to. Let me just tell you one quick story. 2 years ago, the McFarlane Park during the week isn't used much after school for any activities. 2 years ago, that was last year, we worked with Touch Rugby, Canterbury Touch Rugby, to start a touch rugby program. We now have a primary school program after school there, running about 80 children in the afternoon, and in the evening we started our first ever social touch rugby team with a massive 4 teams. A year later, yesterday, there were 8 teams, doubled in 1 year. To see families sitting around the park, eating fish and chips, talking to each other, is a start of that community development that goes on year after year, like other groups around the area are doing. So it's little by little, you change a society for the better of our overall community, and we're very thankful for that. Pauline quite just asked me to finish with a Christmas joke, so I will, just to keep you going. Oh well, for the good of Pauline said I could just finish with a joke. So I thought with the esteemed councillors there, I should really ask a very serious one about that you probably do know that you'll be able to pass on. Is why did the turkey cross the road? don't know, why did the turkey cross the road? Well, I don't think it should, because it's Christmas time, it should run a mile.
Very good. Look, thank you very much, and just gratitude all round, and very, very pleased for this.
Could I just make one comment? Behind me, who's arrived from work, is Phil Lynch. Phil is a past district governor of Lyons and has been chairman of the Lyons Earthquake Committee for the duration since it was established 6 years ago. I'm just the gopher. He's the leader. It's nice that he's here to see this. Thank you.
Let's acknowledge him. Thank you very much, and perhaps I could invite Ellie Jones and your governance person. I'm just
Deputy Chair Emma Norris as well.
Right, Deputy Chair Emma Norris, and we will go straight to item